Senator, 3 points here. One, is your increasingly extremist and reactionary language towards Senator Obama really the method by which you want to try to achieve the presidency, or perhaps split the country if you succeed? Two, criticizing a man for having, quote, the ambition to be president. Seriously, you do realize you are currently running for president as well, right? That either you also have ambition to be president, or what? Somebody's blackmailing you into it? And three, you might want to ask somebody other than, say, your foreign policy advisor, Randy Schooneman, whether or not you are making a jackass out of yourself every time you bring up the conflict between Georgia and Russia. The Georgians have paid Mr. Schooneman and his companies $800,000 over the last several years to lobby for them. It is pretty clear the Georgians have bought Mr. Schooneman, and Senator McCain, it sure as hell looks like the Georgians thought they had bought you. When you had the tastelessness to paraphrase the rallying cry of 9/11 and say that we are now all Georgians, that nation's president called you out. He said that your words were very nice, but he needed action, not a verbal receipt from a lobbyist and the lobbyist's pet senator. Going back to the beginning of this sad 48 hours of paranoia from the McCain campaign, we have manager Rick Davis's unfortunate letter to NBC News about Andrea Mitchell's excellent reporting on the possibility that Senator McCain violated this so-called cone of silence for the Rick Warren Presidential Forum over the weekend. The coverage of this detail and that forum in general is, to start with, overwrought. But Mr. Davis has now elevated them to the ridiculous. As Nate Silver at the website 538.com noted today, Andrea's reporting of what the Obama camp claimed included just two essential observations. McCain may not have been in the cone of silence, and that he may have had some ability to overhear what the questions were to Obama. Rick Davis writes to NBC, the fact is that during Senator Obama's segment at Saddleback last night, Senator McCain was in a motorcade to the event and then held in a green room with no broadcast feed. As Silver astutely notes, for roughly the first half of Obama's participation, his own campaign manager places McCain in a car where he could have been made aware of the questions to Senator Obama. In a motor vehicle, Silver writes, one may use the radio, a cell phone, a BlackBerry, Bluetooth wireless, Slingbox, perhaps a satellite TV feed. Whether McCain actually used any of those devices, we have no idea, but he absolutely had the ability to use them, which is all that Mitchell had reported. Silver also tripped over Mr. Davis's strange observation that for roughly the second half of Obama's participation, his own campaign places McCain, quote, in a green room with no broadcast feed. Not a green room without cell service or the internet, nor without a closed-circuit feed, nor, for that matter, without a guy running back from the audience with notes written in crayon. Rick Davis's argument is, in short, illegitimate. It is an attempt to pick a fight with the media over the journalistic equivalent of chewing gum in class. This is irresponsible journalism and sadly indicative of the level of objectivity we have witnessed at NBC News this election cycle, he writes. We are concerned that your news division is following MSNBC's lead in abandoning nonpartisan coverage of the presidential race. We would like to request a meeting with you as soon as possible to discuss our deep concerns about the news standards and level of objectivity at NBC. What Mr. Davis is really saying here, of course, is that he wants no level of objectivity, that the only campaign he wants questioned is Obama's, and that partisan coverage would consist of questioning whether McCain or his campaign support the stage whispers branding Obama as somehow foreign, or whether McCain is to be inoculated from any and all criticisms simply by dint of his military service. Senator McCain, did you pay any attention to the Democratic primaries? Did you notice the hair-pulling frenzy of some of Senator Clinton's supporters who could not face the possibility that her loss might have been her fault or theirs, and thus it must be ours? Do you remember the apoplexy of a washed-up Republican operative named Ed Gillespie writing a furious letter to NBC on behalf of President Bush? Mr. Bush's support has since dropped, and Senator Clinton's supporters have now relocated themselves to such a degree that her 18 million voices first recounted themselves as 2 million, and then were unable to get even 250 people to show up for their meeting. The public sees through this nonsense about media, Senator. They see through it quickly. NBC and MSNBC do not have the power to seriously impact an election. If we did, Senator Pat Buchanan would already be serving with you. Besides which, Senator, who in your camp thought it was a good idea to take a shot at NBC and MSNBC during the Olympics on NBC and MSNBC? During the Olympics, Senator McCain, on which you have already run millions of dollars worth of McCain campaign commercials on NBC and MSNBC. Senator, let me wrap this up. You and your campaign need a serious and immediate attitude adjustment. Despite what you may think, Senator McCain, this is not a coronation. Despite how you have acted, Senator McCain, you have no automatic excuse to politicize anything you want. Despite how you have whined, Senator McCain, you have no entitlement to only sycophantic, deceptive, airbrushed coverage from the media. And despite how you have strutted, Senator McCain, you have no God-given right to the presidency. Let's have an adult campaign here, sir. In other words, and I am embarrassed to have to say this to a man who turns 72 at the end of this month, Senator, grow up. Good night and good luck.